Today we will be discussing about a few concepts like what is cloud, okay, and then we will be going with public cloud, private cloud, and then we will be discussing about the IaaS and PaaS. But in the last class, whatever we have discussed, we discussed about the configuration related to, or else we discussed about the on-premises environment. What is an on-premises environment? How on-premises environment will be looking like? And then we have gone through the concept called as virtualization. Okay, how many types of virtualizations are there, and based on the virtualization only the cloud has been implemented. So this is what we have discussed in the last session. So today we will be discussing about cloud. So as we have directly implemented, so in the last class we understood about the virtualization. So virtualization is the base for your entire cloud environment. So when we are discussing about AWS or Azure or GCP, any cloud environment, the instances or else the servers which we are seeing there. So all the servers are configured, whatever the instances and servers are configured, all the servers are configured on the virtualization only. Every server is a virtual machine only. So simply if I go back and create a virtual machine or else an EC2 instances, here in AWS those are called as EC2 instances. So when I try to create the EC2 instances, those EC2 instances are the virtual machines only. Try to remember this. So when I log into the console, today I will tell you how to create the AWS account. Okay, awscgat@gmail.com, and let me log into my account. Once I have logged into my account, then what I can do here is, so I just want to show you how to create the EC2 instances. I don't want to go in deep into this, but whatever the EC2 instances or servers that we are creating, all these servers are the virtual machines. Now, if I go back to the EC2 instances, launch instance, see, the creating EC2 instances in AWS is very easy, and rather than creating in the on-premises. See, whenever we go for the on-premises environment, it is like a very long process. If I want to create a server for my application, then I need to get a quotation from the data center, and after getting the quotation, like I need to provide the desired resources for the data center. What are the CPU and RAM, and how we need to utilize them. And later on I need to get the quotation from the data center, and after getting the quotation from data center we need to implement the server. Once the server is implemented, everything has to be installed. So these are all the things that we will find. But in AWS, if you want to create an EC2 instance, suppose I'm going with the test instance, let me go with Ubuntu server. So it is going to take a minimal amount of time so that you can deploy your resources very fastly, so that you can deploy your application very fastly. So see there how much time it is going to take. If I go for the, you will come to know about what is all these things, whatever I am doing right now. You will come to know about all these things. I am going to clearly explain you about the configuration, whatever I have done right now. So the point is, when I created this server, so what I can do, see, within short span of time, I'm able to create the server. Not only able to create the server, I can create the, or else I can implement the, what I can say, I can implement the whatever the requirements that I have, I can do that. See there. So if at all, if you are having a very good website, if you want to host a very good website, what else you can do here is simply deploy the server. Once you have deployed the server, see that this much easy it is to deploy the server. So once you have deployed this, you can install the Nginx, or else you can install whatever you want, however you want to use this server, you can use the server. So for example, I want to use the server as a web server. Okay, so now what I can do here is, That's it. So I have deployed the Nginx. Nginx can be used as a web server or else as a reverse proxy. Look at that. It is very simple that within short span of time, what else I can do? I can configure everything. So now you need to understand this thing. See there, Nginx is deploy installed, and when I try to access, not only me, if you try to access this, you can able to access the default web page of the Nginx. So let me check whether the service is running or not. Service Nginx status. If I go with this, so this is the reason why I asked you to learn the say this is the reason why I asked you to learn the Linux. So why? Because you need to understand what is what and everything. So because of that reason, I asked you to learn the Linux, and it is very important for you to understand the Linux. Basics of the Linux is very important for you. Okay, so let me check whether am I able to access. See that I got the welcome to Nginx. So this is the default web page which I am accessing. So if you want to change it to something else, you can change it and access that. So this is how within short span of time, within no time, I have deployed the service. So if you want to access this, let me provide you the URL for you. Try to access that URL, or else let me do one thing. Try to access this URL and tell me, are you able to access the website? I have just provided that in the chat box. Try to access that. Are you able to access the same page? Whatever the index.html that, or else whatever the welcome to Nginx that you are seeing, the same page, are you able to access? Guys, response please. Okay. So see, this is much easy. But in the on-premises, what we can do, what we have to do here is we need to give a quotation for the data center, and data center will check the requirement, and then they have to install the operating system, and they need to create the security environment, and then finally what is going to happen here, they will hand over the server to us, and after handovering the server, we need to check the updates and everything, and then finally we need to install the we need to install the application. So this much difficult it is to run the on-premises environment. But when you come to the cloud environment, within short span of time, within no time, we can deploy our server and we can access the server. So that is the reason why we are going for the AWS. Okay, no, well, now we need to discuss about what is a cloud. So we are discussing how easy to instances, or else how servers are, how easy the servers can be created and how we are going to access them. But the point is, now what is meant by a cloud? Now you have deployed the server in the cloud, but actually what is a cloud? So a cloud is an environment where you can gather all the computing resources. Either it might be storage, or else it might be what I can say. It might be a storage. It might be compute. It might be databases. Everything is available inside the cloud. So from the starting onwards, the cloud is like this. No, from the starting, the cloud is not this. So when we go for the AWS, if you take the Amazon, so Amazon first introduced, so they did not introduce the servers directly. Whatever the EC2 instances that you are seeing, they did not implement the EC2 instances. They did not implement the S3 buckets. Okay, first of all, they have started their journey. They have started their journey with SNS, notification services. Okay, so simple notification services, and then what they have implemented after going through all these phases, In 2006, they started with SNS, and then they have implemented storage S3. Okay, so up to from up to 2010, they have worked with the storage and all the things, storage concept, and whoever are going to purchase the S3 buckets, okay, so they are going to provide 5 GB of space for free, and you can store up to 5 GB of data for free. Right now, also the same, you can store up to 5 GB of data for free. But after 5 GB, you need to pay for the data, whatever you are storing. So later in 2010, a revolutionary change has been made and Azure was implemented. So Azure was introduced into the cloud, into the IT world. When Azure was introduced, Azure has started their virtual machines. They directly implemented the virtual machines. So when they directly implemented the virtual machines, now it has been a situation that AWS also wants to implement the virtual machines. So they have went for the EC2 instances, and slowly they have increased the services like whatever. So VPC, EC2 instances, and then they have gone for RDS, systems manager, like that. We are having around 200 plus of services are available right now. So within a short period, they have implemented each and every service. Now, within 2 weeks or else within a week, within every week or else every 2 weeks, Amazon was introducing a new update on their cloud. So this is what we call it as a cloud. A cloud is an environment where you can find out all the computing resources. Now, how many types of clouds are there? So there are two types or else three types of clouds. One is the public cloud. One is the public cloud. Other one is the private cloud. And the third one is hybrid cloud, which is not that much important. We are not going to discuss about hybrid cloud, but we have a hybrid cloud also. First of all, let us discuss about public cloud and private cloud. Now, if you can see here, now what I can do, I am having my own AWS account, so I can create it, and you can have your own AWS account, and you can create the instances and some another. So each and every person, each and every user will have their own their own clouds or else their own account. So that what they can do here is everyone can access, everyone can create their instances. So who are all around the world, everyone can access. So that is called as a public cloud. If a cloud is accessed by everyone all around the world, then that is called as a public cloud. Now, when you come to the private cloud, the cloud which can be accessible to a certain set of people. For example, I am working in a company and I am having a data center. So that is called as a private cloud. Now I can only access that. My employees can only access that. Then that type of cloud is called as a private cloud. Now, if you can see what is the main difference between public cloud and private cloud, public versus private cloud, see there. So there are a lot of differences. Now, if you can see, a computing in which the service provider makes all the resources public over the internet. So if at all, if you are trying to access all of your services over the internet, then that is called as a public cloud. It is connected to public internet. Service provider serves services, or else service provider serves the resources such as virtual machines, application storage to the general public over the internet. It may not be, it may be free of cost with a minimal paper usage. It will be available for public display. Google uses the cloud to run some of the applications like Google Docs, Google Drives, and YouTube, etc. It is most common way to implement the cloud computing. The external cloud service provider owns, operates, and delivers it over the public network. I will discuss about this IASPS and all things, but as of now, what they are saying, whenever the public is trying to access their resources, create their resources over the internet, so then that is called as a public cloud. Now, what is meant by a private cloud? Go down here. Computing in which the service provider does not make all resources public over the internet. It only supports the connectivity over the private network. It has only authentic users and single occupant architecture. So like if at all, if you are having a company, so the infrastructure and services are maintained, deployed over a private network, hardware and software are dedicated to only a private company. This is very important. So the hardware and software, whatever the servers and whatever the services that you are utilizing, that can be handled by a single private company and that can be owned by a single private company. Then that is called as a private cloud. So now this is the main difference between your private cloud and public cloud. Do you understand any questions over here? Do you understand any questions between the private cloud and public cloud? Guys, response. I'm asking about the response.
Yes, Chaitanya, we got it.
Okay. Now we need to discuss about IAS versus PAS versus SAS. These are not a very important topic to discuss. See, whenever the interview are going happen, or else the interviews are happening, the interviewer won't ask you about IAS, PAS, and SAS until unless he is very angry and he came to the interview in an angry emotion. Then only he is going to ask you about these silly questions. Okay, so but eventually you need to understand what is meant by IAS, PAS, and SAS. If you go down here. Now, IaaS means infrastructure as a service. So previously we discussed about the something. So that is on premises. In on premises, what will be happening? Can you tell me? In on premises, so the user, whoever the user is there, the user has to purchase the hardware. Okay. The user has to purchase and implement the hardware. The user has to implement the network. Okay, the user has to implement the network. Not only that, the user has to implement the storage. Okay, the user has to implement the storage. He is the whole and sole responsible for all these things, and the user has to implement the after this he has to create the virtual environment. After that he need to install the software. So and then finally what he has to do, he has to create a runtime environment, which means that your Python application, or else the user has to install all these things, and then finally he has to maintain the application, and finally he has to what I can say, collect the data from the application. Everything has to be handled by the user itself. So this is your on-premises environment. So if I have to show you this hardware, network, storage, virtualization, or else I will simply give it as VMs, and runtime, or else I can call it as middleware. Okay, and finally application and data. So these are all the things has to be maintained by your user itself. So in on-premises environment, each and everything will be handled by the user. But when you come to the IaaS means infrastructure as a service. So the service provider will provide the services. Okay, IaaS versus PaaS versus SAS. If you see the images over here, look at that. This is what it will clearly explain you about the on-premises environment. Hold on. Look at that. This is what. So first of all, networking. So whatever the blue color things are there, you manage in the sense user manage. Networking, storage, everything has to be managed by the user itself. But when you come to the IaaS, infrastructure as a service, the service provider will manages that. Service provider will take care of networking, storage, servers, and virtualization. So you don't need to worry about if the storage is over, or else if the storage is about to complete. So you don't need to worry about the storage specification, storage space. So that can be taken care by your service provider. Either it might be Amazon or else it might be Azure. So the service provider will take care of these things. And the next one is you don't need to worry about the networking, whether we will have the network disconnectivity or else if there is any malfunction of the network. So everything you don't need to worry. So the networking will be taken care by the service provider itself. And servers. Servers are also, so which type of servers you want. If you want to increase the server capacity, you can increase the server capacity. Total number of servers are not sufficient. You want to go for another server, you can implement that. So that headache, how to create the servers and how to give the servers to the user, that headache will be taken care by the service provider itself. So you don't need to worry about your servers, whether the servers so you have to worry about the resources and monitoring how application is reacting with the server. So these things you have to take care. But the point is, if the server is down, okay, if the server is down, that is the headache of service provider. They will provide some SLAs regarding, depending on the SLAs only they have to work. SLAs means service level agreements. So if the server is down and how much time it is going to take to up the server, everything will be communicated by the service provider itself. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. And virtualization, which type of virtualization that we are using, whether we are using the Citrix virtualization or else we are using the VMware virtualization, that we don't need to worry. So everything will be taken care by the service provider. But we need to worry about these things. So what is the operating system that we are using? So virtualization, and they will provide the EC2 instances. Right now, if you see here, this is the EC2 instance that they have provided by the AWS. Now, what is the operating system that I have to install? Whether I need to go with the Amazon operating system, or else I need to go with RHEL, or else I need to go with the Ubuntu or Windows, that I need to take care. So what on which operating system my software is compatible, so that I have to select my operating system, I need to implement that. So operating system should be taken care by the user. Middleware and runtime also will be taken care by the user. Middleware and runtimes are nothing but the applications. Okay, the backend applications which we are running, either it might be a database or else it might be the Python applications or else Java application, whatever the applications that you are using in the backend, or else what I can say, this is called as a business logic. So on which application you are running the business logic, that application will be implemented in the runtime by the user itself. So we can create another server, that is the application server, and we can deploy the application into that. So this has to be taken care by the user. And finally, the main application in the sense the web application or else any another application, the main application you have developed, that should be taken care by you, and as well as the data that is generated by the application has to be taken care by you. So this is called as an IaaS. It is simply like, so this one, on-premises environment, if I have to give an example, on-premises environment means if you want to build a home, you will be monitoring each and everything. If at all, how much sand or else how much cement, how many bricks that we want, everything you have to calculate and you have to give it to the what I can say, builders. Okay, and they will build you, and they will build the home for you. So whenever they are building, you can say them, this is what I want, this is what I want. Everything you will be monitoring. In the same manner here also, everything has to be monitored by you in the on-premises environment. But when you come to the infrastructure as a service, okay, so it is like providing a contract for the contractor. Okay, you will say that within one year or 6 months I want to create, or else within one year or 6 months I want to complete my home. So make sure that you can complete it. So it's the total responsibility of the contractor. Whatever he uses, we don't care about that. So we will give a budget and we will finalize the deal. In the same manner here also, we want the service, which means that we are going to finalize a budget and we are going to give it to the service provider. Now it is the service provider headache, whether he has to go with the configuration or else how he is going with the configuration. This headache is taken care by the service provider. So what is the remaining thing that we have to take once the contractor hand overs the home to us? Okay, once the contractor hand over the home to us, then it is not his responsibility to create the application. If you ask them, where is my TV, where is my fridge, and where is my AC, then what contractor is going to say? Contractor will say that, boss, it is not my headache, it is your headache to install all the applications. In the same manner, here also in the IAS also, they will provide each and everything, okay, regarding the physical equipment like servers and all the things. And after that, if you want to install the application, then it is your responsibility to select the runtime, to select the middleware application, front-end application, and databases. Everything is your responsibility. So this is called as IAS. If you go to the differences between IAS and PAS, now let me go with this. First of all, IaaS, infrastructure as a service, is a means of delivering computing infrastructure as an on-demand service. It is one of the three fundamental cloud service models. The user purchases the servers, software, data center space, or network equipment, and rent their resources through the fully outsourced and on-demand service model. So this is what. So everything he will be purchasing, and that will be on demand model. Okay, so if you want to create a server right now, you can create it. This is called as an on-demand, not the reserved instances. Okay, we will discuss about on-demand and reserved instances in the upcoming topic of our AWS. And finally, you need to check out this PaaS. PaaS means platform as a service. Now, when you go with the platform as a service, what will be happening in the backend? So everything will be given by the service provider itself. Everything in the sense, see there, networking, storage, operating system is also provided by the service provider, middleware also provided by the service provider. Only we have to install the application and we need to run the data. That's it. We need to collect the data from the application. So if you go with the RDS configuration, if you go with the relational databases configuration here, we don't have the capability to select the operating system. RDS is one of the example for your PaaS. In AWS, we are having a service. Okay, so relational databases service are one of the best example for the PaaS. And the next one is SaaS, software as a service, like our SNS, simple notification service. We are going to just utilize the services. That's it. And we are not going to change anything. So everything will be managed by your vendor itself, the service provider itself. So this is called as SAS. So these are the three key service models that are used by your service providers. Okay. So do you understand this? Any questions here? Any questions? Do you understand it clearly? Guys, response please. Do you understand it clearly? At least you can type it in this chat box so that I can see that.
Chaitanya, I lost in center, so I
Mhm.
can't able to say because IAS and PS due to network issue I lost. So I go through the recording, but
Okay.
I understand the software as a service.
Okay. So let us discuss about the next concept about this cloud environment as we are going with the IaaS, PaaS, and SAS. Hold on. So when we get back to the next concept here, we are discussing, we have a completely, we are discussing about the private cloud, public cloud and everything. So here we have we heard a word called as a data center. Now, what is meant by this data center? So a data center is a, what I can say, entity where you can have every server. You will have, it's a huge environment where you can have multiple servers. If I have to show you about this data center, see there, it's a very big area, or else it's a very big space. Hold on. Look at that. See this, or else you can go through this also. But anyways, see the data center, how big it is, and check out the trucks near the data center. If you see the trucks over there, see how small they are. So this is the data center, a very big entity where you will have all the servers, whatever the physical servers you are checking out. So all the physical servers, networking equipment, everything will be available inside the data center. Now, inside the data center, this is how you will have the racks. Inside the data center, you will have the racks. Hold on. This is the best example which can see. So these are all the racks. So first of all, let us see, these are all the racks. And in the racks, what you can do here is you can go for the rack servers, or else this is how the blade servers will be looking like. See here in so behind the mesh, you can see this. You are having a tower server. So this is a tower server, and this is a rack server. And here you can see whatever he is inserting over here, this is the blade server. These are the three types of servers depending upon the size and shape. So if they ask you how many types of servers that are available, so simply what you can say, there are three types of servers. One is the rack and tower and blade servers. Now, so you will be having the racks, and in each and every rack you can have multiple number of servers, up to 25 servers you can install on a rack, and all are the screw fitted. So every server we are going to fit it with screws. So this is the blade. So this is the blade server where you are seeing here, this is called as a blade. Whatever he is holding, this is called as a blade, where you will have the CPU RAM inside the blade. So you can have multiple blades. So this entire thing is a chassis, and inside this chassis you will have multiple blades, and each blade will be utilized for one application. Okay, for a single application you can utilize each and every blade. And if you go down here, this is called as a SAN. SAN means storage area network, where you can store the huge amount of data. Multiple hard disks will be there inside the sandboxes. Okay, so not only that, here you can see you are having the networking rack. This is the networking rack where you are having the switches, routers, and everything is available inside this rack. So overall, inside a data center, what you will have here is, inside the data center, you will have the racks, multiple racks. Okay, you will have the multiple racks, and in each and every rack, what you will have, in each and every rack you will have some physical servers. Okay, either they might be rack servers, or else they might be tower servers. Okay, or else they might be blade servers, or the networking devices, or what I can say, the storage devices. Every, in each and every rack you will have them. Okay, so like this. So inside these racks, whatever the servers that you are working out, so these servers will be further divided into, so as I already said you, the servers won't be alone. So what they will be having, they will be having the virtualization. So virtual machines will be there inside the each and every rack, or else inside each and every server you will have the virtualization or virtual machines, and each and every virtual machine will have a application. Inside the virtual machine you will have an application. So this is how your application will be available. So the whenever you want to try to access any application, so first of all, the request will be coming to the physical server, and from the physical server it will be reaching to the virtual machine, and from the virtual machine it will be reaching to your application. So like that you will have multiple racks inside the data center. So what is the implementation methodology of the data center? If at all, if there should be a data center in your region, what are the consideration? So if anybody wants to plant a data center, for example, in Hyderabad, we are having a data center, we are having an AWS data center. So eventually what they are going to do, they are not directly going to create the data center on any land. First of all, they will check what there will be a team. Okay, first of all, there will be a data center team where they are going to check about the whether the land is okay or not. First of all, the area is okay or not. So how they are going to check the climatic conditions. So within how many years the earthquakes has happened and how much time it has been, like how what is the interval, within how many years we have got the earthquakes and cyclones, everything climatic changes, they will check first. And they will check for the power sources. It is very important that the what I can say, a data center must have two power sources. It should not have a single power source. It need to have two substations. Why? Because if there is a single failure, if there is a single power failure, then automatically the data center has to get the power from the another substation, and eventually it needs to have some generators. See that whatever the white color things that you are seeing here, these are all the generators for the power backup at least for 1 day. Okay, and then you need to have the heat extinguisher. See, in our company, whenever we are using some 6 to 7 laptops or some 10 computers only, we will have the ACs. Just try to assume that in a single rack we are having 25 servers, or else in a single rack, if at all, if we are having some 10 servers in like that, in the data center there will be thousands of racks are available. Then just assume that how much heat will be liberated. So to overcome this heating issues, what we need to do, we need to install the heat extinguishers and the AC, centralized ACs, everything should be there. And one more thing is that this data center should be near to a water resource. Either it might be a lake or else it might be a river, it might be anything. So it should be, the data center should be residing near to the water resource, very near to the water resource, and it should have at least the fire extinguisher should be, or else the fire engine should be available at no time, and everything should be there. And then the persons who are searching for this particular data center, they will check out this transportation facility, whether the transportation is available. And then finally, the workers environment. So if the workers are very far away from the data center, for example, if the data center is installed in the outskirts of the city, whether we have any transportation to the data center, and how employees will be able to work. So everything has to check out this. So after checking this, they are going to implement the data center and they are going to run that. So these are all the consideration, and they are going to check out the crime record of that particular area also. So these many consideration, these many number of facts that they will be taking into consideration to create a data center. So if all the considerations are okay, then they will install that. So this is called as a data center, and what will be there inside the data center and how they will be functioning. And one more thing is that each and every rack, whatever the rack servers that you are seeing here, each and every rack will be interconnected with each other. So you don't need to worry about the networking. The data center, whoever the data center employees or else data center team is there, they are going to check out of this networking. So you just need to worry about your servers. Apart from that, you don't need to worry about anything else. So this is called as a data center facility. Okay. Now, as you have understood about the data center, let us go back and discuss about the AWS geography. What is an AWS geography and what I can say? Okay, what is the AWS geography and what are the different parts in the AWS geography? So whenever we are discussing about the AWS, first of all, we need to understand a term called as a region. Now, if AWS want to install a data center, so they will select a region. So now what is meant by a region? Region is nothing but a space where the data centers can be implemented, just a geographical location where AWS is about to install the data center. Now, if I have to define about the terminology, AWS Geographic regions. Okay, so see that global infrastructure of AWS. So that is what I can give. Global infrastructure AWS. If you see here, see, we will have the definitions for this. Now we will have a region. Now if you can see how many regions are available. Yeah, we have the multiple regions in North America, South America, Asia, Europe, and Middle East. Everywhere we are having the regions. Around 32 regions are available right now in the AWS. At the 32 regions, we are having all around some 100 plus availability zones are available. Okay, so now let us see here. Now, what is meant by a region? If you see here, components of the global infrastructure, first of all, region. A region is a geographical area. That's it. Each region consists of 2 or more availability zones. So just if you go for India, in India, which region is feasible? So they have divided the India into 2 parts. One is the northern part of India and the other one is the southern part of India. In northern part of India, you are having Mumbai location. Okay, in the southern part of India, you are having the Hyderabad location. So like that, they are going to consider the region. And if you go to the America, in America, there are 4 regions. One is the US East one, East 2, West 1, West 2. So like that, they have divided the entire country into multiple locations or else multiple regions. So whatever the region, whatever the geographical area, it is called as a region, and each region should have 2 or more availability zones. Now, what is meant by an availability zone? An availability zone is a facility that can be somewhere in the country or in a city. So you can have an availability zone either you can have in the country or city, and inside this facility we will have the data center. So now if I have to show you the geographical location, see here. So first of all, in AWS, you will have a region. Just whenever you select a area or else you will select a country, so you need to select the region. So a region is a geographical location. And inside this region, either you can have a facility called as availability zone. So this is one availability zone where you will have the data centers. Inside the availability zone, you will have the data centers. Okay. Either you can have a single data center inside the availability zone or else you can have the multiple data centers. So the distance between 2 availability zones must be 100 kilometers or 60 miles. So the distance between each and every availability zone must be 100 kilometers or 60 miles. Okay, let it be there. So this is how the main regions of your AWS will be looking like. So each and every availability zone will be interconnected. Now, what is the necessity of the availability zone? For example, if I am having a single data center in a region and I am going to implant my server in that availability zone. So for example, I want to create a database or else I want to run my application. So just assume that I am selecting India region in India or else I am selecting Mumbai region. So when I select that, obviously what is going to happen, I can create my application or else I can create my servers. When I create the server in the Mumbai location, I am having only a single data center. Apart from that, I don't have any another data center. Just assume that if the data center is down, so if you are having single, then that is called as a single point of failure. If the data center is down, then what about your application? What about your servers? Everything will be down. So I don't want that. Basically it will not happen. The data center won't go down, but in the worst cases, if the data center is totally down, then what you will do? Definitely you need to have an secondary server in the another location, another availability zone in the another city. If the entire Hyderabad city goes down, then my server should be there in somewhere like Mumbai or Jaipur. So in the same manner here also, if the servers are down, if the primary servers are down, then definitely what I need to have, I need to have the backup servers. These are the disaster recovery servers, DR. We will call it as a DR. DR means disaster recovery. So whenever this server, the primary servers, the primary servers are down, then automatically we have to shift to the what I can say disaster recovery servers. So definitely we need to have minimum 2 availability zones in the region. So that is the reason why they said that. So a region is a geographical region or area. Each region consisting of 2 or more availability zones. Definitely you need to have 2 availability zones. If you don't have the 2 availability zones, then it won't work. Then that is not called as a region. So what is meant by an availability zone? Availability zone is a facility where you will have the data center. Okay, either you can have a single data center or else you can have the multiple data center. So this is the global location. We will discuss about the edge location and regional edge caches whenever we discussed about the cloud front. I will discuss over that. If I discuss here, you will get confused. So this is what you will have a region, and inside the region you will have the availability zones, and inside the availability zones you can have the data center, and inside the data center you will have the racks, and on the racks you will have the servers, physical servers, and each physical server will be divided as a virtual machine, and inside the virtual machine we will have the application. This is the hierarchy of your application access. Okay, I hope you understand this. Any questions here? Questions, guys? Any questions? Okay, fine then. So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to wind up the session over here. So the next topic, what we are going to discuss in the next session is, about the networking concept. Here I have said that each and every data center, each and everything will be interconnected over the network. Now, what is meant by a network, and how computers or servers will be communicated with each other, and how data will be transmitted. And very important thing is what is meant by subnetting. So tomorrow's agenda will be, whenever we are discussing about tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss about what is network, IP address, and subnetting. These are the things that we are going to discuss in the next session. So that's all from my end. We will meet in the next session and discuss about the networking concepts.
Tomorrow we won't have the class, right? As of we
No.
discussed yesterday.
No. Tomorrow we have the class, as they are the demo sessions.
Okay.
Now we are in the demos, right? So that is the reason we will have the session tomorrow. So, but from next week onwards, you don't have the session on Saturday. You will have from Monday to Friday. Okay. Yeah. So have a nice day, guys. We'll meet in the next session. Bye.